We are the dog.
Hey everyone, Mikey here, and welcome to another build video, where today I am doing my lazy tank on the Vaadwaur Juggernaut. As many of you are aware, this is one of the top performing DPS ships in the game, and arguably the best cannon scatter volley platform that is currently available. With the ship recently being put into a Muds bundle, a lot more people have access to this ship, and you are probably seeing more and more of these flying around as of late. It is a fairly solid ship. It does scatter volley builds exceptionally well, as I've already said, but I want to do something a little different, and I've been contemplating doing a lazy tank for a little while now, and once I picked up this ship, I figured, let's give it a try and see what happens. And the results did surprise me. The biggest downside to this ship is it is a major pain to fly. Probably one of the hardest ships in the game to fly, and it is definitely giving me a challenge. But I am enjoying this ship. It's been on my wish list for quite some time, and it was a ship I was seriously considering picking up as my event campaign prize. But since it came out in Mud's bundle, and it was paired with another good ship that I wanted to have access to on more tunes, I pulled the trigger. So let's take a look at the build. So here's the build. It's pretty much close to my normal tanking builds with a few changes. Mainly that instead of using all beam arrays, I am using turrets. I would have put a fourth turret in the front, however I did not have one, and I actually ran out of upgrades for the first time in like a year. So I put a beam in the front with the turrets, as well as standard dark matter quantum torpedo, colony deflector, the prevailing competitive engines because the ship needs all the help it can get for speed and turn, the discovery warp core and shields, as you all know, for the two-piece with the extra hull regen. Pretty standard for tanking and most builds these days anyways. On the aft, I have another turret. I have the Lobby Bowl Omni and the standard Bowl Omni. As we all know, bow weapons are the best for tanking because of the refraction, and then when you're using the two-piece, you get the extra refraction when you're using the Omni and the console. Devices, standard deuterium surplus, because again, this ship needs all the help it can get for turning. Energy amplifier for extra damage, reactive armor as an extra heal, and Kobayashi Maru for extra random buffs. Consoles, again, it's all going to be almost standard as most tank builds and pretty much identical to my Styx build with a few exceptions. Of course, you have to use the Lorcator, one of the best consoles in the game, and the two-piece, the extra crit severity for more discretion. Again, must have on pretty much every build. I am using the Agony Redistributor console. I don't think the passives are working still to this point at the time of this recording, but I am using this primarily when tanking an ISE to help destroy the generators and transformer on the one side. Hull image refractor for the extra hit points and never use the clicky. DPRM because a tank and you need the oh crap button. Ion Storm for the extra threat. The Baul console, again, a little bit of hull, and of course the two-piece for the extra refraction. Tricobalt Tear for the initial attack, and the AoE, so more threat. And also gives me a little bit of shield pen. Using the sensor, suspension burst from the Jurok. Extra crits is always a good thing, and to also help buff my teammates. Tactical consoles, I'm using the supercharged Sif conduits, which come from this ship. Again, extra damage resistance, never a bad thing, and again, more turn and more speed. It is needed on this ship, which you will see in the ISE shortly. Genesis Seed, again, to help with destroying the transformers, the generators, and the spheres and the sides. Pretty much I would say this is a really good console to be using on your tanks because it helps clean up the trash on the sides, so making your ISEs go by a lot smoother. And the Colony Protomatter Matrix Infusers. I've been playing around, and I found that on this ship, I only need 3 instead of 4. For traits, it's pretty much the same as my normal tank, except for one major difference, and that is I have to use Def Cannoneer, which you get from your level 15 cannon R&D, and this ship is one of the few in the game that this is a must-have on your build, because this ship is, yeah, you will see. And if you do own the ship, or if you've flown it before, you know exactly why this is needed. Other than that, all the other personal traits are the same as my other tank builds, so I won't even spend any time going through them. We all know what they are. Starship traits, a little bit different. I've been messing around with other traits and other setups, so it's a little bit different. So just go over them real quick. Emergency weapon cycle for the power cost and the haste. As a tank, you need the haste for extra threat. SAD to basically debuff the enemies. Withering Barrage to extend Scatter Volley, which helps the turrets. Redirecting Arrays to increase the length of fire at will. Of course, History will remember the meta tanking trait. And using ETM to gain a free torp spread when using Scatter Volley or Fire at Will. Stations, a little bit different, thanks to some of the changes with unconventional systems and some abilities with control. So I do have a few Yukon procs, not as many as I would like to have, but because it's the tank, it's not as important. Basically, you got to have emergency power to engines for the speed and to proc the emergency con hologram to negate the cooldown for evasive maneuvers. Chemocyte weapons for the debuff. Narrow sensor bands to increase damage from energy weapons. The induction platform. Now, this is one that you probably don't see too often, but it is considered a control ability and a Yukon proc. And it's a bit of a control ability, so it does kind of help with some of the loose garbage in an ISE. It's not going to do much. It's not going to do any damage, but it is good for crowd control. And something a little bit different. Of course, Scatter Volley for the turrets. Viral Impulse Burst because it's a Yukon proc. Attack Power and Delta to proc the Adakukons to increase threat. Fire at Will, again meta tanking. Power to Weapons to proc emergency weapon cycle. Emit Unstable Warp Bubble and Eject Warp Plasma, again Yukon procs. Tractor Beam, Yukon proc, and Scramble Sensors, Yukon proc. Just a note for you people out there who are going to be tanking, do not use jam targeting sensors because this has the chance to actually reset threat. So this is not a good ability to use as a tank for a Yukon proc. So just keep that in mind. And I learned that the hard way. Duty officers, again, it's my standard tanking ones. So emergency con hologram, 24 out of 47 for the power levels. And because I have Milko worker abilities for extra crit. Adakukons for the extra threat. 37 of 47 to basically reduce cooldowns of engineering and intel abilities. And 44 of 47, again, more cooldown reduction from Miracle Worker and Science. So all in all, it is a solid build. It's not going to be a top tank by any means, but it can definitely tank. The run was actually fun and went better than expected. I would say it is not something I'm going to recommend every single player does, but for shits and giggles and in a pinch, you can tank in this in the right circumstance. Again, it's a ship I do like. I don't regret getting it. The trait on it is a good DPS trait, but considering it's a promo ship, and before it was in the Muds bundle, not a lot of people had the ability to obtain this, and it did go for very, very high prices. But now that it's in muds and more people can get it, it is a ship I would recommend that if you are looking to get into the DPS chase, it is a ship that is worth getting, especially for doing cannon builds. So let's take a look at the ISC, and then we will see you for the Parse explanation, and we'll see you in a little bit. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Parse explanation for the lazy tank build on the Vaadwaur Juggernaut. As you can see, I was on my main tune Lim, and it was an impressive run. 76% total damage in, and 69% attacks in. Considering that this is a DPS focused ship, this did very, very well. Answering the question, can you tank in a Vaadwaur Juggernaut? Absolutely you can. Should you? I would say no, because this ship, as you can see, is not easy to fly. And even though no one died this round, and the numbers were very good, you can do better with C-store ships or event ships, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get those, where this being a promo ship or most recently put into a Muds bundle, it's a little expensive, and it is, yeah, it's not meant to tank, but it can tank. Joining me on that run were very experienced players. We had Master Dude, who is also a Twitch streamer. I'll put a link in the description to his channel below, so please go give him a follow. He was also in a Juggy, and he did 603k. Very impressive, very good. Had Neojets, aka the Mad Scientist, in one of his control builds. A very impressive 429. My very good friend Grumpy Old Nord, who hosted this run on his stream, testing a brand new Disruptor build on his Bird of Prey, and he did 388k, which is exceptionally well considering how he put that build together. Good job, Grumpy. And our very good friend Megla, who was in one of his support tunes, so yeah, his DPS isn't much, but that's because he was helping boost everyone else's. So in conclusion, 76% damage in, 69% attacks in. Very, very good. 342k DPS, which is extremely high for a tank. So yeah, this is a high DPS ship, and it shows even when tanking. So there you have it, everyone. 69% attacks in. As I said, that was definitely higher than expected. So it's a high DPS ship that you can put a good tank build on. Not an elite level tank, but a good level tank. The only downsides are, one, it's a pain in the ass to fly, but also two, as you saw, well over 300k DPS. That's exceptionally high for a tank and almost too high, but it is what it is. This ship is a high-end DPS ship. It's a high outgoing damage ship, so even as a tank, it still puts up solid numbers. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed this video, and please do all the normal YouTube things, comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Also, please jump over to Twitch and give me a follow and check out one of my live streams. I'd really appreciate it. And until the next time, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.
We are God.